Yeah, so
Yeah.
welcome. Thanks a lot, Pascale Ehrenfreund, for your time, for the interview for the International Women's Forum Austria chapter. A very special time also, the first human space flight 60 years ago. Pascale, what motivated you to study astrobiology? Why to work in the space sector?
Yeah, well, I knew exactly what I wanted to study, namely life in the universe. But when I entered the university, I did not know exactly if I should study astrophysics or genetics. And well, I just decided to study both. And after my master thesis in the field of protein chemistry, I completed an interdisciplinary PhD that combined chemistry, physics, astronomy, and already also international in an international environment, so in Vienna and in Paris. So I studied, the properties of really large organic molecules in space, how they formed, in which regions in space they are particularly common. And after that, I did my postdoctoral research in the Netherlands, and I studied comets, meteorites, and planetary surfaces. And my habilitation on the subject of cosmic dust was also interdisciplinary. And then I got the opportunity right after my PhD really to work for incredible space missions, one of them going to Saturn's moon Titan. So I think I also was quite lucky in my career to be involved in the space sector very early.
Very nice, thanks. That's very inspirational. And what do you feel? What was your biggest personal achievement in your amazing career so far?
Yeah, I think that's always very difficult to select. One, because women are always multitasking and they are always doing many things. I've made, of course, some important scientific discoveries, and I've been, the project scientist of a NASA satellite, which I followed from design to launch to successful operation. That actually happens not very often, because space missions, they really take often a very long time to be actually realized. So I'm very proud of my additional management studies that I did beside work and raising children. But probably the fact that I managed a successful academic career, as well as senior leadership positions and some special appointments, and I'm still healthy, my kids are doing fine, and I'm still married. That's probably the biggest achievement.
Yeah. And what is your secret? You can give some tips to women how you handle these different careers. This, I think, is always the topic for a lot of young scientists starting their career, and then also
Well, I think that kids, they understand mothers which are ambitious. They see them as role models, and I see that also with my daughter, which did not end up in the same scientific subject as myself, but in an IT subject. And so you are a role model for your children, and you are not a bad mother, if you actually pursue a career and still try to have a successful family. So I think this is important. You have to be self-confident enough that even if other people tell you otherwise, that you can handle both, because women are really strong and they can really do many things at the same time, and I think they should have more self-confidence that they can achieve a lot of things.
Yeah, not everyone, or that every child can tell in school that the mom's is one asteroid is named after the mom. So can you tell a little bit more about this achievement also?
Yeah, I have an asteroid which is called 9826 Ehrenfreund, and then it has still another number. So I know it's a little bit about 7-8 kilometers in diameter, and I know the orbital period. You can actually check that. And it was discovered in 1977. but something what I always have to say is, because there are so many movies out there, that my asteroid is very far away in the outer asteroid belt, so it's not dangerous. It's never gonna come and hit the Earth. Yeah. And at the beginning of my career, I explored cosmic dust for many years, and I did my habilitation also on this topic in 1999. And at that time, only very few women worked in this research field. And there was a commission which gave me the name of this asteroid as somehow as a recognition for my scientific work.
Very nice. So now talking about women in the space sector, I mean, I heard that there was just announced that the Emirates also they announced that there some women scientists will be leading the Arab world's first space mission to Mars. So you can see there is moving something. How is the development? We know also there were some female astronauts in the past, mainly as Russian ladies. But how is in your sector the development of female leadership?
Yeah, well, it's improving, but gender diversity in the space sector really still warrants progress. So when we look at, as of March 2021, I think there have been 65 women which have flown in space, including cosmonauts, astronauts, payload specialists, and women which went to the International Space Station, in comparison with approximately, 600 men. And actually, the first woman in space in 1963, until the second woman, which was also Russian, went into space, there was a span of 19 years. So I think what we have to do is that we have to make sure that there are actually enough women which are actually in the STEM sector or studying natural science or engineering. So the gender equality problem starts much, much earlier. We have a shortfall of women which are studying STEM subjects. And when we look into the space sector, then we also see a little bit, that's a recent study, but we see that women, apply again in the subjects which are mostly dealing with data, Earth observation, data research, sometimes space tourism. But companies which are devoted to real hard engineering, also launching, space exploration, they remain male dominated. So I'm sure it's going to change in the future. As you said, there are women, scheduled to go to the moon, also by NASA, that was announced, and there are, of course, also women which are taking leadership positions in the space sector, or have leadership positions. But we will have to do much more to, engage women to be enthusiastic about STEM subjects and careers in engineering and science, and in particular to have no leaky pipeline. So we have a lot of women which are studying now and which are also finishing their studies, but we lose them then on the way to, for instance, having full professorships in academia or being in a leadership position in industry or at agency positions. So this is something, this leaky pipeline, we have to solve. And I think we have to encourage women to be self-confident and also understand that science and engineering strongly contributes to innovation and what future actually we can offer for the next generation, and that they have to play a really important role in this development, and that there are actually a lot of jobs in the space sector.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, so you mentioned already what to do. So what you are represented in a lot of committees, and you are, for example, the president of the International Astronautical Federation and a lot of other, or the vice chancellor of the International Space University. So what are these institutions doing? Are there any initiatives now ongoing to increase also the number of female leadership in the space sector?
Yes, there are many. I can probably only discuss a few. We have, for instance, Women in Aerospace, really a network which is dedicated to increase the leadership capabilities and visibility of women in the aerospace community. Then we have from the United Nations, we have the project Space for Women, which is also, was founded by the UN, United Nations, to promote women's empowerment in space. And we in the International Astronautical Federation, we are really fostering the principles of 3G, as we call it. So 3G diversity, that stands for geography, for generation, and for gender. Within the organization, but also in the entire space sector. This has really resulted in a significant increase of the number of young people which are engaged in the space sector and also in activities of our organization. And we are presenting successful role models. We are trying to encourage the young generation of the female space community to aim for leadership positions. And of course, we all want to reach a balanced and inclusive representations. And we have a lot of activities, and other organizations do that too. We have keynotes. We have, of course, mentoring sessions, very particular mentoring sessions, because we have 407 members from 71 countries or member organizations. So we have a lot of people which can really help the young generation, particularly also the young female generation. We have social events, we have competitions, we have awards. So a lot in order to encourage, female leadership in the space sector for the future also.
Okay, thanks so much. What is your next big mission, or what you're currently working on? Can you also tell a little bit? Besides,
I'm still, a part of the science community. I still enjoy the wonderful scientific results and all the missions, which are, exploring our solar system. But the International Astronautical Federation, of course, has a very important mandate right now, because during the pandemic, we really need to keep the space community worldwide together. And so that they stay connected, and we share a lot of conferences, but also virtual conferences and possibilities to exchange. And in the future, I will be the president of the International Space University in Strasbourg, and I'm looking forward, by myself, to help shape, the future space generation, and in particular women.
This is a beautiful last sentence, also to shape the future, and especially the generation in the space sector. Thanks so much, Pascale Ehrenfreund, for your time and for the interesting interview. Thanks.
Yeah, I thank you.